Had a few donations come in during that run. JMO47's kind of echoed my sentiments. He donated $10 and said, "So great to see one of my all-time favorite games, Strife, being ran. I remember downloading the demo on AOL 20 years ago over a 14.4 modem. Keep up the great run, and thanks to all the runners for helping out a great cause." I also have $150 from Anonymous who says, "The first time I played Strife, I thought it was going to be a little more than a Doom mod. Then I heard Blackbird's voice, saw there was currency involved, RPG elements, and it blew my mind. Thanks to Cubeface for bringing one of my favorite games to SGDQ and Kill the Animals." And now a message from one of our sponsors, Twitch. Welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2016, sponsored by Twitch. Got some more donations here for you all. Read your messages. Reminder, not every donation message gets read on air, so please bear that in mind. If I don't get to your message, do apologize, but we can't read them all. But I've got $5 here from Gamer Puppy, who simply says, "Great stream." And I've got $13.37 from Covert Muffin, who says, "I believe in you, Cubeface. I know your run will be as elite as this donation's amount. Thanks for being awesome. And of course, take a bath." And now we're ready for Hexen with Cubeface, everyone.
All right. So Fighter won the thing?
Yes, Fighter's in first place with $775.
Awesome. Thank you. You chose the fastest. So, all right.
They want to get rid of you.
3. Are we good? Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah! Let's fight.
So you'll notice I'm playing on basically ultra violence difficulty, just like in Doom. There's no real reason for that. It's just kind of
convention.
Tradition, I guess. So yeah, this is Hexen. It's like a fantasy Doom clone sort of thing. It's awesome. It's got jumping. It's got aiming up and down. So that's nice. It's got the better Doom engine stuff. The enemies aren't infinite height, so you can jump over them, which is helpful. And it's got an inventory. It's got all that stuff. So this first area, I have to hit a bell tower, or I have to hit a bell at the top of the tower to open up the teleporter. Get through this cave so I can get the key right here.
Yeah, and the main gimmick of this game is the multiple classes. I mean, as you saw in the bid war, which thank you for the donations towards that.
Okay.
Fighter is the melee. Cleric is, you'd think it's the healer, but they don't have healers, so he's just kind of like the jack of all trades, sort of. And then the mage is like the long range battery.
So we're getting into this is the villain of the game.
Korax.
Clorox bleach. All right, so this is the first hub area of the game, and that's pretty different from Doom. This game, it's similar to Strife, though. It's got hubs, so you can go back and forth between maps, and the enemies will, stay dead, and the items that you pick up will be gone still, and stuff like that. So
Right. Whereas Strife used missions to say, go collect this thing and return back and stuff, and we'll give you a reward. In this game, it's more about puzzles. The objective is to find switches that work your way through a particular area, and eventually you'll unlock certain things and allow you to get to the next area, et cetera, et cetera.
So this is the first fighter weapon, or I guess the second fighter weapon if you count the gauntlets.
Also the best weapon in period, I would
Yeah,
almost say.
possibly the most overpowered weapon. It basically two-hits these guys and pushes all enemies back, which is amazing for speedrunning.
Yeah, one of the benefits of fighter period is that I think all of his weapons produce knockback, except maybe the last one.
All right, apologies. Breaking news. Cleric got sniped. Or was the sniper.
No kidding.
We're going to restart the run, Cubeface. Sorry about that. But
I'm fine with
thank
that.
Well, okay then.
More Cubeface.
Last minute donation there brought Cleric over the top. Thanks, everyone, for that.
I love that movie.
Okay, cool.
Hope you guys like Fighter.
Yeah, that's all you get.
Rip fast.
Yeah, so Cleric won with $791.66 raised for charity.
Wow, awesome.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I mean,
And yeah, it looks like they're good on the timer again. So whenever you're ready.
All right.
You thought you were going to have fun.
I thought we were going to go fast.
it's your favorite class.
We're good? All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Salty run back. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a mace instead of hands.
Welcome to.
Instead of gauntlets.
So, just an immediate juxtaposition. You just saw the best weapon. This is the worst weapon.
Yeah, this is by far the worst weapon in the game.
I like to joke that he just stole one of the maces from the Ettins, which are these enemies that we're seeing right now. And we're just beating them with their own weapon, which is just a really bad weapon.
So where's the axe to hit these guys? I have to hit them like 6 times.
And no knockback. We no longer have knockback,
Yeah,
so.
that's even worse. But you'll notice that I'm actually just moving slower also. The classes have different movement speeds, so the mage is the slowest and the fighter is the fastest. And that's part of the reason why fighter is just straight up the fastest.
I'm not sure where the VOD's going to start, but you might want to, like, re-say everything about this game.
True.
So this is Hexen.
Yeah. It's kind of a fantasy doom clown.
And in this level, we have to hit a bell in order to make the level
Yep.
trigger and exit it.
So we're going up the bell tower here.
Oh yeah, you probably didn't notice it earlier because it wasn't there, but different classes have different enemy locations and different enemies, period.
Yep.
So now we have afrits or afrits that you would have to deal with as a cleric, even though you just have a melee weapon, so that's pretty great. This is the main
Hi,
enemy of the game,
Yep.
Corax Bleach.
Yep. Okay, so also, I don't know if you noticed, as the fighter, the flechettes that I'm picking up, the green bottles, they acted like grenades with the fighter, but with the cleric, they act like gas bombs, which can be good, but right now it's bad because serpents, which are these things that I have to kill, they don't really care that much about the gas, but we took them down anyway.
There will be exactly one good use of the
Yeah.
flechettes, which is an amazing use, by the way, but we have to be patient. As with all things, the cleric class is about being patient and waiting until we get our amazing prize.
Yeah, cleric has a lot of potential, but at the beginning he struggles a lot.
For example, I mean, we were just blowing past this part earlier, and now these Ettins are very much in the way.
Okay, so I have to see, there's a pointer, and it points to the one of the crushers, and that's determines which one I have to go into. It'll teleport me out. It's random which one it chooses, so.
Yep, the wrong ones kill you very quickly.
Yeah. So with the cleric, I really have to go to this area first, because his better weapon is in this area, and I definitely want to replace this mace as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
So unfortunately, the fighter gets his better weapon sooner than the cleric does.
All right, and we're back to where we were before.
Yeah. It's like that never happened. Okay, so here's the Serpent Staff. It uses blue mana. There's only 2 ammo types in this game. There's blue mana and green mana. And so yeah, this one uses the blue mana, and then the next weapon that I get will use green. And the last one will use both types of mana. Wow, these guys are really in my way.
Dag. Anyway, in case you didn't notice, the Serpent Staff is still not nearly as good as the axe was.
Yeah.
But it's certainly better than this mace right here.
It's something.
Pretty much. And this run is, by comparison, incredibly slow until you at least get the Serpent Staff.
Yeah, it does absorb health from enemies, which is nice. Okay, I managed to jump over them.
There we go. So the first hub, I don't even know if it's particularly much of a gimmick, but there are the Guardians of Ice, Fire, and Steel, and these are the 3 areas past the hub where we go and we solve our puzzles and stuff. And we're just going to press switches for solving thirds of the puzzle on the hub, which is called the 7 Portals, which incidentally has 7 different exits to it. And now we can unlock the second half of this particular area. Of the hub, rather. And that requires us, technically we should be going back to the Guardians of Fire, Ice, and Steel, but from different locations, from different vantage points. So,
Luckily, there's a pretty big skip we can do.
right. Those are Wendigo. Wendigo are an incredibly annoying enemy, but this is like the only time we ever see them.
Yeah, luckily.
Yeah, I like them. I wish... One of the problems that I see in Hexen in terms of its gameplay is that the monster variety is there, but they choose for, I would almost say, like, just situational, circumstantial, aesthetic reasons not to use them except where they're supposed to be used. So we end up seeing Ettins pretty much the entire game, and that's the last time we ever see Wendigo.
So right here, you're supposed to go up here and press some switches, but you can actually just press some triggers, some invisible triggers. There's one right here. And so you just have to go in that room, stand on the little step there, and then leave. And this should go up.
Yep.
And then we can do something that was completely unintended.
Yeah.
Jump over to this area. You're supposed to raise the staircase right here.
But we don't feel like doing that.
Yeah.
Now, incidentally, because all 3 characters have different speeds, all of these jumps have to be timed differently depending on character class. So it kind of messes with things, especially when you run all 3 classes at the same time.
Fighter
basically
seems to, since he's so fast, he just flies over the platform you're supposed to land on.
Right. And anyway, so with those 3 switches, we've essentially solved the puzzle of this hub, and we can just exit it. And we skip fairly significant portions of it. So. There we go.
I think I killed the wrong one. You only have to kill 2 of those centaurs to cause the staircase to appear. But
And that was hub 1. We also collected a piece of the final weapon that a given class gets.
yeah, it's similar to Strife, where you have to collect a super powerful weapon throughout the game.
In the Sigil's case, it was you could still use the weapon, and it just kind of grew over time. In this case, we just need to assemble all 3 pieces before we're allowed to use it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is hub 2. This is the rough one, so we'll see how well it goes. But it's basically like the first hub, except longer and more ridiculous in what you're supposed to do.
So here's the 3rd weapon for the cleric. The what's it called again? Do you remember?
Putting me on the spot there.
Delph
It's frickin' Firestorm. That's
yeah,
it.
Firestorm.
Good old Firestorm. Also not as good as Timon's axe, by the way.
Yeah. Wow. These guys are just really don't want me to progress. Okay.
There we go.
The centaurs are by far the most annoying enemy because as soon as you hit them, they put up the shield and become invincible.
Completely invincible and also reflect attacks.
Yeah. So
So
incredibly annoying. Firestorm, yeah, it's not bad. It kills the serpents in 2 hits usually, which is really useful.
Yeah, big grounded enemies. It mainly deals splash damage, but the splash itself is incredibly small. So it works against enemies in like big groups or tightly knit groups, but against regular enemies, it's not particularly that much better than Serpent Staff.
Maybe just do a jump across that.
So the gimmick of this hub is we have 3 areas that we have to go through again. There's a swamp, a wastelands, and the caves that we were just in.
There are these switches right here that I'm gonna. Well, they're not really switches, but they're like markers, I guess, that you have to.
Right. Yeah, indicators that we've solved part of the puzzle in this hub.
Yeah. Some sort of puzzle that encompasses like all the maps of the area. So you have to go through here, go through all the maps and pick up the keys, and then go back to the other maps. And it's kind of just a giant maze, and it's really confusing.
Yeah, casually it can be quite troublesome.
Yeah. Even in the speedrun, you can get lost.
Yeah.
It
It's really
takes
bad
a
because
long
so
time
many
to
of
learn.
these areas just look the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's even worse later on.
But yeah, a lot of running in this hub. So
It's kind of a secret area, even though it's you
required.
have to get this. Yeah, it's kind of secret.
Don't tell anyone.
So we're gonna pick up the horn key right here. We already got the cave key, and then we need to get a sewer key later.
Yeah, the optimal route here is to go through to go through the 3 levels 5 times in total between the 3. The first level you collect a key, the second level you collect a key and press one of the switches. In the 3rd level you finally get the last key, but you can press both switches, and then the other 2 you do run backs for the remaining switches. And that's the hub, pretty much.
So I have to kill those 4 afrits for this troop here. And now, so there's one of the switches, and then I just teleported back to the beginning using an item called the Chaos Device, which just teleports you back to the beginning. It's really useful for speedrunning.
But you only get like 2. So
Yeah, so you have to make sure you use them in a good spot. So we used to have different routes for all the classes through this area because the weapons for the classes spawn in different areas. So like the fighter weapon would spawn here, so we would go here first for the fighter. But then we figured out that the route for the cleric was actually just faster in every way. It was just more efficient, so the routing changed.
And now they're all the same.
Yep.
Except cleric is still this class and fighter is still the best.
Yeah.
So this is the swamp. It has draw distance. It's new technology at the time.
It's got realistic fog effects.
Those items are discs of repulsion. I don't think you use them until much later, but they're very important. They have an excellent use in this run. But I don't want to spoil the surprise. You know.
All right.
Hopefully we won't see too many, but this level has stalker enemies right there that just kind of pop out from under the swamp, and they shoot projectiles, and they just mostly get in the way.
Yeah, they can be really annoying because they'll actually just block you before they even appear. So you'll just be surrounded by like invisible enemies, and you're just like, "What's going on?" All right, so here's an unintended skip right here. I accidentally missed it.
Again,
Trying to
because
jump
it's
through this
different
window.
classes, the timings are kind of different. So having to learn each one individually is kind of rough.
Okay, I
These
think I need to
enemies-
kill these serpents. Yeah. Usually I'm able to get through it without killing the serpents, but I'll just get rid of them so they're less
Fun
annoying.
fact, in Heretic, that...
There we go.
Okay, good.
First
And I
try.
fell.
Oh,
All right, there.
Good, okay, there we go. There we go.
First try.
First try.
First try every time. Those serpent dudes are the mount for Disparal, who was the final boss in Heretic, and it's kind of like a big deal, this massive giant serpent. So I always make the joke that Korax wanted to be cool like his younger brother, so he wanted to get a serpent too, but he ended up having to buy in bulk, which is why we see all of these guys. And he's too big to ride the thing anyway, so...
Plus he's a serpent.
Yep. This is the most annoying part of probably the run. Okay, second try.
Good
is
RNG.
Yeah. It is nothing but just hoping that one of those sides eventually sends you out the correct way. And to our knowledge, there is no way to predict which one it's going to be.
Yeah, it just randomly decides, and like you can take the same path over and over, and it won't work, and then it'll just randomly work once, and it's like, oh, okay. So there's the second switch. And I'm going to jump across here as long as these guys get out of my way. This is a difficult jump with any class other than the fighter.
Yeah.
You have to SR50 across it.
Sometimes there's spikes that they're supposed to, well, they are insta-kill if you happen to be under one when it pops up. But when they're already raised, they just act like platforms, which makes that jump a whole lot easier.
Yeah. So right here, I'm just going to drop flechettes on these guys. You have to kill a certain amount of them for this wall to lower.
Yeah. There's a lot of monster triggers like that in Hexen, where you just kill X enemies and you can progress. It's like, come on, if I wanted that, I would play like something that wasn't an FPS. Come on, like MMOs.
So right there, I pushed the enemy back using the repulse disc. It's very useful for speedrunning, especially when you're, a character who doesn't have any weapons that push them back.
All right, and we're finally coming up and finishing up 2. It's just a long slog, it really is.
So yeah, you have to use the cave key right there.
So since it's been briefly mentioned, with this class as well as fighter, why don't you talk about the third class a little bit? Like what's
mage?
different about it?
The mage, well, he's slower. He's got probably the worst second weapon in the game. Actually, just generally overall, he's worse. His first weapon is ranged, though, which is nice because you can hit the bell at the beginning. That's one benefit. And also it pierces through enemies, which is useful.
Very much so. His weapons tend to use the most mana as well, which is supposed to be balanced by the fact that he's a big long-range battery and he can handle it. Something of a glass cannon, but in practice, a lot of his weapons are very poorly handled in the speedrun, especially when you're in the face of enemies all the time. And the second weapon freezes your enemy, and then it's stuck as an ice sculpture, and then you would either have to wait for it to thaw or pop out another weapon to break it. So it's
yeah,
not
and
good.
it takes a while to switch weapons in this game. It's not instant, so it's not very good.
But I mean, the mage is cool. I'm a mage kind of guy. When I played this game, I first played it, but
Yeah, mage is probably my favorite class, partly because I played him during our co-op runs, which Captain Clever, Hidden Distance, and I did, which was very fun.
well, it just works very. Anyway, this one Eden makes the whole thing trigger, so we don't have to kill anyone but that single guy, which is very convenient.
Yeah, this is kind of like a 4 trials area, so right there, it's kind of like, that was like a puzzle, I guess. You have to just see which one, is on the floor and then hit the right one on the wall. This is probably the hardest jump in the game. If I can't get it, I'm going to have to do a really slow strat. There we go.
There we go.
Glad I got that because, yeah, that jump, you just have to jump at the last possible moment. And it's really annoying. I think as the cleric, it might be easier because he's kind of got the middle movement speed.
Right, so he's not struggling to reach it, and at the same time, the fighter just completely overshoots.
Yeah, the fighter just goes so fast that the timing becomes difficult. Okay, so this is the cleric room. That last room that I was in with the serpents was the fighter room, and that's because, it has the fighter 4th weapon piece in it, and this had the cleric 4th weapon piece. So that's what we call them. So this one is really annoying because there's centaurs, and those are the most annoying enemies.
Yep. Good enemy design. And yes, in the meanwhile, this area has been slowly filling up with all the enemies from those previous rooms.
Sort of burn our way through. Get some extra health potions. You can see I'm holding 25. That's the maximum amount you can have.
That scream was the Death Wyvern. And he's called a Death Wyvern because he's great at dying, pretty much.
Yep. So you can see that I'm flying. There's an item that lets you fly in this game. It's pretty cool.
Great boss, great boss.
Yeah, that boss is much faster with the mage. So each class has their own benefits, because the mage has a third weapon that has lightning, which takes him down really quickly. Wow, what a trickster.
I don't even have anything to say. It's just the ultimate insult right there.
Okay, so I swung my mace so that these guys would bunch up, and then I can turn them into pigs with a item called the porculator.
Kill the animals.
Yeah, killed the animals right there. And so yeah, that's the first area, or the first fight here.
This is
So-
Hub 3 Heresy Arc Seminary. The whole thing in this one is, this is actually a pretty long hub that you're supposed to go through. You're supposed to collect gems in order to activate this other area, where you then have to go to 3 different chapels, and then you get through puzzle switches there, and then you have this final climactic boss with the Heresy Arc. But we're not going to do any of that, basically.
Yeah, luckily we do not have to. There's not going to spoil the surprise here, but we're going to do a major skip at the end of this. So we have to break this tree out of the way, hit the kind of hidden switch, even though it's required to hit.
It's the puzzles of the game, man.
Yeah, this game's very tricky.
All right, and finally our patience is paid off.
Yeah, we get Wraith Verge, the 4th weapon for the cleric. And basically it shoots a bunch of ghosts, and the ghosts just kind of go on a rampage and kill everything. And it's kind of like the BFG, if the BFG was alive.
Pretty much.
And it uses a lot of mana, so I don't want to use it too much, because conserving mana is important. But here's
Wow.
that was fast.
That was incredibly fast.
That was a glide, similar to, in Plutonia, you saw him do glides. And in this game, the glides are a bit different because you can jump. So you just kind of line yourself up to it, and then you can jump into it, and he'll just slip through if you're lined up correctly.
When you jump, the landing has a slight boost in your forward speed, which allows you to line up into the glide a lot more easily.
Okay, so this is the Castle of Grief.
It's called that for a good reason in the speedrun, let me tell you.
Trying to jump on stalkers right there so I can get up here. And we can jump
Good.
into Afrit right there and hit the switch over his head. Pick up some more disc of repulsion. Those are really useful. I want to get as many of those as I can.
Yeah, in this hub, they just give you so many of those discs. Oh boy,
Well, that
okay.
was a mistake. Luckily, there are autosaves.
Might be, I think, yeah, it's that. Yeah, okay, that works too. I was thinking of the other one.
So yeah, I'm just going to be using Wraith Verge a lot here just to take out all the enemies.
Wraith Virgin discs, more or less. The cleric really doesn't want to have to switch to other weapons when he doesn't need to, because this weapon dwarfs all of his other weapons by a wide margin.
Yeah, this is probably the most powerful weapon in the entire game.
Which you will see right around here.
Yeah, both in single player and in deathmatch.
Just tears him apart.
So I just spawn prevented a centaur right there, which is just kind of helpful.
Yeah, in this game, in Doom, sometimes, it's mostly in maps 30, but there is the potential for you to be telefragged by enemies. In this case, it's turned off, so if it's going to try to telefrag enemies in and you're standing in an area, it just doesn't show up at all.
Yeah, they just never appear.
Fun fact, in this game there are in Doom as well, but in Hexen there's regular deaths and then there's kind of like gibbed deaths, or gibbed. And I like to say the gibbed deaths are particularly spectacular in this game. Like pieces of like the enemies will actually fall off and stuff, and like the weapons will go flying that they were carrying. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty gruesome game.
All right, so there's a pretty difficult trick coming up here. Pretty RNG dependent. I'm gonna jump on this Afrit, and he'll pull me
Nice.
up.
Okay, good. First try. Very good.
So I kind of rode on his head up to the top of this. And he has the, he has a choice to just fly away and not bring me up, but luckily he didn't do that, so thanks.
Yeah. Jumping on top of him itself is rather difficult in the first place. So it's kind of a 1-2 sucker punch.
Yeah, so right here I have to pick up all these different gears to lower this elevator. So there's 2 of them right here, and then there's another one in this room.
It's
They're
puzzles,
pretty
you
close.
guys. It's puzzles.
Yeah. So co-op in this game is really cool because you can actually just, split the objectives between each other, and with 3 people, so, each person could be getting a different clock gear right here. So there's all sorts of co-op strats that are different for than single player.
Right. The co-op run in this game is about 5 minutes faster than the fastest time from any one particular class. And that's because this game does have a lot of potential for multitasking, whereas in a game like Doom or even Strife or something, it's very linear. You're just going from point A to point B. But in these maps, you have a lot to cover at given points in time. So
Yeah, it's right there. I just put 2 books in the bookshelf, which opened up a little secret area that got me this head of a statue. It's all these puzzle items.
alas, poor York. Yep.
Whoops.
Oh, you should have played the falling
The fall.
animation, or sound effect, rather.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Waiting for the stalker to appear.
What are these stalkers doing in clean water anyway?
Take a bath.
Take a bath, stalker. He lives in the bath. I just really hope my ghosts actually kill stuff. Sometimes they can be annoying and just not kill stuff when I want them to. Luckily this time they were nice. It's kind of annoying when your own weapon works against you. You're like, come on.
And when it uses so much mana, I mean, the investment.
Yeah.
But it's what you're stuck with as cleric, so. That's a particularly mean area right there. You notice that Cube looked down, but when you played this in vanilla, looking up and down was more of a novelty than anything. And when that platform just immediately lowers and you just turn around and say, okay, well, let's go, and then you just fall to your death. And it's good game design.
This game loves to prank you. All right, so we're going to do a jump right here, jump on the
Good.
Eden's head.
First try again. That one in particular is not easy because the Edens are moving around and you really have to just figure out and time your jump as
Yeah.
you're descending.
You can kind of use the barrels to, make it easier, but it's still a little bit tricky. So I'm going to instantly refill my mana using a Crater of Might, which is this item right here. I have 2 left, and those are very useful. Basically did that so I could kill all those serpents really quickly. I think I was going to die right there, but
It's a good falling sound effect.
it's actually the way that you're supposed to go.
Right, yeah, that's intended. You might think when you're playing this game, you hear the falling sound effect and you just go, okay, well, let me just load my game. But no, you have to wait until you land, and then it puts you in the next level. That's a tricky one. I've heard people get stuck in this game because they don't realize that that's what you end up needing to do. It's a good jump there.
So yeah, there's just a trigger right there that I had to hit.
That's an elevator, so it just comes up and down, but it saves a few seconds.
Get the axe key. Now we can go fight the boss. I'm going to get some health right here.
So we skipped the Heresy arc in the previous hub because we skipped that whole hub. We have kind of like an encore fight with the Heresy arc now in this final room in Hub 4 coming up. But first we got to deal with a gauntlet here.
It's right there. I spawn prevented one of the serpents. And actually there's a weird glitch where if you kill more than one of the serpents, then the game will just soft lock. And so yeah, I just spawn prevent one of them.
All right, Heresy arc. Tough fight here.
So this is one thing where the yeah, he really just doesn't have a chance.
Stun locked, and there we go.
That's one big benefit for the cleric because his gas grenades just stun him, and He just goes down real easily. With the other classes, is way harder.
The big problem is that he has a spell. He has 3 spells, but one of them that he casts basically turns him into one of those centaurs for a good deal of time. It makes him invincible, and it makes things reflect off of him.
Yeah.
So you just want to stun lock him and leave it at that.
Yeah, trying to kill him before he does that with the other classes is difficult.
And now for the final hub, where the story of this game is just like Korek shows up to this world, and he's like, I'm really strong, worship me. And so most of the guys are like, okay, sure, I don't want to die. And part of that is the main 3 factions, which is where the fighter, the cleric, and the mage come from. And at this point, we have to defeat the 3 major leaders from those factions who have all been granted eternal life through undeath. So now that's why Korek said, are you strong enough to face your own masters?
Yeah. So the first one we're going to face is the cleric.
You want to try
And
stun
there he
locking
is.
him? I don't know. You got any left?
And I'm just going to shoot my ghost at him, and he's going to shoot his ghost at me, and they're going to fight, and I won.
Good fight. Yeah, it's good.
It's very easy.
Ghost battle.
And then I teleported back to the start because there's an elevator that you would have to wait for that would take forever, so I used a chaos device right there.
Yeah, this part right here is kind of boring.
Mind if I read some donations?
Yeah.
Yep, go for it.
Pedro Kamik donated $50 and says, hype for Deus Ex and Hexen, 2 of my favorite games when I was a teen. Also, Shoebox donates $40 and says, I love the classic FPS block. Doom was amazing. Loving Heretic. And I really enjoyed Strife, which I'd never seen before. Also, $50 from Hidden Distance, who says, hey, Cube, here's $50 toward getting to see Timon's Axe in action. Shout out to the better 2/3 of the Hexen co-op crew in the hot seat and on the couch. Also, $20 from Dawn M, who says, go Cubeface, so proud, love Mom. Aw.
Thank you.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, Hidden was the 3rd of our 3-player co-op that we would do.
Yeah. Thanks, Hidden.
You got to see Timon's axe for like 30 seconds.
So yeah, the gimmick right here is that you have to hit the switches that resemble like the shape of the room, and yeah, so you just have to do that, or also the ones that are in the center of the room.
Yeah,
for some of them.
I rather like this puzzle because you have to look at the auto map to kind of intuit what the shape is going to be.
Yeah.
It's rather a clever usage. That was the mini boss, by the way.
Yeah, that was the mage. And
when you have Wraith Verge, things just kind of go
Yeah.
poof.
the fighter has the hardest time right here because his final weapon is probably the worst one. Well, it definitely is the worst one. It's like a sword that shoots these green blobs out, and it's pretty powerful, but at the same time, it just doesn't kill stuff sometimes. For some reason.
The damage just seems unpredictable.
Yeah, it seems random.
And whereas the Wraith Verge, like, sometimes the ghosts don't feel like cooperating, the damage is consistent when it is. So.
Yeah, and the mage has like a staff that shoots fireballs. And
Which are, those particular projectiles alone are probably the most damaging. Anyway.
they home in on enemies. Anyway, here's a preschool puzzle.
Preschool,
Oh,
the
triple
best.
star.
Triple star.
You did it.
Triple moon is the best because the game's mooning you, but triple
Yeah.
star is pretty good. It's the longest.
There we go.
Yeah, let's keep it PG.
Sorry, man.
So here's the fighter. I have a item that teleports an enemy back to the start, which I'm going to use on him, unless I miss.
Sorry.
Twice. 3 times.
You might be a little too close or too early.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening.
There we go.
First try.
That is really easy, and it's pretty embarrassing. Okay. Oh, there he is.
There he
Oh,
is.
God.
Okay.
Get away from me.
He got there fast.
Yeah, he's a fast guy. He should be speedrunning.
Yeah, those guys are basically your classes, and they move just as fast as you could. Which
Yeah,
is,
and they have the 4th weapon. So he had the sword that I was talking about. All right, so we're getting close to the end here. Final boss. I'm going to use the Boots of Speed right here.
this is really where you'll see Wraith Verge just completely wreck.
Yeah, this is...
Because it's tightly packed rooms with lots of fairly easy enemies. And that's Korak's
Korak.
bad.
He'll disappear once you do enough damage to him, and then send a bunch of enemies out, and I just stick my ghosts on them. And they were killing them before the doors even opened.
Should be
So.
good.
It's just Gibbs. Okay.
Yep. And
Coming
now
up on time. He does still have the chance to kill me, though. He's actually pretty powerful. Okay,
There's
there he
that
goes.
back break.
Time.
3309.
Sub 3310.
Yeah, my PP is 31, so it's cool.
Hey, good job.
Cool. All right, thanks for watching Hexen.
Yeah, thanks so much for the runs. Cubeface, everybody.
It's always a treat.
Up next, System Shock Enhanced Edition, an any percent run from Fearful Ferret. You're watching SGDQ2016, a charity speedrunning marathon. We're here raising money for Doctors Without Borders all week long. Speaking of money raised, the name